Hello, welcome back to the chaos that is Shani and Books. Today I am going to be doing a book haul. I have not done a book haul all year, I think, so this is a bit of a collective book haul. I don't know if I've mentioned this on my channel or no, I'm sure I would have. I haven't been buying books this year. I've been allowing myself like 1 or 2 possibly books a month, and that's pretty much it. So most of the books are like gifts that I got for Christmas that I still haven't shown on my channel, but I figured we're mid-year, this is the perfect time to do the collective book haul. And then my birthday is in July, so yeah, usually my family gives me books. So let's start with the books I bought myself, I guess. So in January, the book I treated myself to is one that I had read last year, and it was in my favorites of the year, and I read an ebook from my library. So I knew I wanted a physical copy, and that is The Center by Ayesha Manazir Siddiqui. This one is like a literary horror book. I know this cover is like creepy to some people, but I honestly love it, and like the end pages are the same, and I feel like it represents the book. It is basically about this girl who meets someone, and why is the autofocus so terrible on this camera? Hello? He learns Urdu like seemingly overnight, and she's like, how can you learn to speak that better than I can? And she finds out that he has gone to this secret place called The Center. It's invite only, you're only ever allowed to tell like one person, and so he's chosen her. She goes to The Center because she wants to translate literature. She's like, perfect, I can learn new languages. And yeah, it's a horror book, so there's like creepy things that happen at the center, and that's all I'll say. But I really thought this was great. I loved it, obviously. I ended up buying myself my own physical copy, and yeah, that was my treat to myself in January. February, I bought myself 2 books, one of which I'm not going to show you because I think in the US it is published by St. Martin's Press, and as far as I'm aware, they haven't spoken up about the racism that their employee said online. So I will be supporting that from Australia, even though it's published by someone else here. But the other book that I got myself is Heartstopper Volume 5. This is, obviously I probably don't need to tell you about what this is, a very popular graphic novel. It got turned into a TV show. I still haven't watched the TV show. But yeah, I have all the other volumes somewhere over there. So picked up volume 5 and read that one as well. And then for March, I picked up the book that I ended up choosing for April for my book club, which was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This one is her first paranormal romance. It is a romance between a werewolf and a vampire. Despite mixed reviews within the people who participated in the book club that month, I am still happy that I picked it because it was very interesting for a discussion. Surprisingly, I ended up enjoying it. I just thought that her writing is just really fun and funny, despite not being, you know, the best literature on the planet. Some books are just there to be fun, and I feel like for me, that's what this was. It was just a fun, silly, goofy time. There are a lot of things that I definitely did not love in it, but despite that, I feel like I still rated it very highly, perhaps too highly, but I do think I give my book club books more grace. I found out that I just enjoy them more because I know I'm reading it for the book club, so I end up rating them higher than they probably maybe should have. But regardless, I did enjoy this one. In April, I ended up picking up 2 books. One was my May book club book. I don't know if you can see a pattern happening here where the only books I'm buying are book club books, but first up I have Funny Story by Emily Henry. Like I said, this was my May book club book. And I was very excited to read the newest Emily Henry. He's making noise. Do you want help? So based on the premise, I had thought this was going to be my favorite Emily Henry romance so far. And I did rank all of her books in my live show, and I did put this in the #1 spot. I didn't give it a full 5 stars, but I did really enjoy it. He's gonna drill with a toy drill over there. This one is following these 2 characters where they are in separate relationships at the beginning of the book, and their partners leave them for each other, and so they're left. So yeah, the 2 main characters, they've both been dumped by their partners, and so they end up moving in together, and obviously it's a romance. The premise sounded so fun to me, and Emily Henry's writing is very fun. Measure. You can measure, yeah.
Can we measure you?
Sure, measure me. Measure my arm.
What about we can measure our head?
You can measure your head.
What? It's 10 meters tall.
10 meters tall. That's a big head. The other book that I bought in April, because I did treat myself to 2 books that month, is going to be a future book club pick. So I picked up Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and I think I'm going to have this for August. So note that down if you are wanting to participate. This one is a cowboy romance, which has become a very popular genre, and after I picked this one up, I did see a few of my friends read it and enjoy it, so that's made me more excited for this one. I did see Sasha say that it has ADHD rep as well, which love that. And then lastly for May, the book that I picked up, I have already read it. It is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. I read a library copy, and as soon as I finished it, I knew I would want a physical copy that I can annotate because I will be rereading it. Which, another announcement, if you are interested in reading Abby Jimenez books, or if you've read some and you want to get to her backlist, I am going to be doing a read along, I think. So starting in July, there is 6 months remaining in the year, and there is... Oh, beautiful. And 6 Abby Jimenez, bless you, 6 Abby Jimenez books and 6 months left in the year. So I'm going to be doing 1 a month if you want to join me. I did create, I'll leave a link below if I can remember to do it. On Storygraph, they have a read along feature, and you can put little sections that you can lock so you can't get spoiled, and you can write in comments when you get up to that section. So I will leave that linked below if you want to join and discuss on Storygraph. But otherwise, I will also try and do a live show at the end of each month to discuss each individual book. I'm usually one for reading these little romance series in any order, but for this one, I actually do recommend reading Part of Your World at the very least first. And I have read that her first 3 books that I haven't read, that they also like the characters all cross over. So I'm very excited to read the first 3 and then reread this series, the 3 in this series, to see what I can pick up. But the premise for this one is basically these 2 main characters both believe they have this curse on them that everyone they date then goes on to meet the love of their life and like live happily ever after. So they're like, okay, why don't we fake date to like cancel each other's curses out, and then when we break up, then we will be with the loves of our lives. And obviously it's a romance, so we all know what's going to happen, but I really love Abby Jimenez, and yeah, I'll leave details below because I don't know what I'm saying. So those are all the books that I have personally bought myself, and then I'll go through my books that I got for Christmas as a gift. My family usually does ask for a wish list of books to get me because they don't know the exact books that I read or have already read or already own. I did give my mum a list of a couple of books that I would be interested in for my birthday next month, but I was honestly struggling to come up with ideas, so I don't know what's going on with me. And I did take my wish list down, like my online wish list down, but I am thinking about making a new wish list. Not that anyone has to feel any pressure to get me anything, or I don't know if anyone would, but at least if I have that wish list, then when my mum asks for things, I can refer to her to that as well, perhaps. But anyway, let's go with the books that I got for Christmas. All right, first up, a book. Again, I've already read this one, Chlorine by Jade Song. This one, I'll leave link, like, I don't know, I have vlogs for some of these, but I'll leave it linked. This one is again like a literary horror, which I am finding that I do enjoy, where horror is like not super scary, but it's just like weird. And this one is about this girl who is a swimmer, and she is turning into a mermaid. I really loved this one as well. I think I love mermaid books, I don't know. Another in that same like horror genre is Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. This one was the first book that I started reading at the beginning of the year. Not the first one I finished, but this is also in that kind of like crossover between like literary fiction and horror, but it's not like really scary, gruesome horror. And yeah, this is about this young girl who, I've already read this one too and I loved it, but yeah, this is about this girl who starts this new job at this, what do they call it? A high-end beauty and wellness shop in New York City. And yes, there's a lot of commentary about beauty in general and I guess that industry, but yeah, weird things start happening. And I highly recommend this one. I think it's definitely one of my favorite books in this haul. Another book that I read at the beginning of the year, Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. This is the sequel to Legends and Lattes that I read last year and really enjoyed, and I liked the sequel not as much as the first book, or this is technically the prequel I should say, sorry. I just didn't like it as much as Legends and Lattes, but I still enjoyed it, and I am looking for more things in this genre, so if you have any recommendations, please let me know. This is very bookish because they are running a bookshop. There's magical creatures. It is very cozy and fun, but yeah, I do get lost on some of the fantasy terminology. Like some of the creatures, I had no idea what I was supposed to be picturing for them. Another book that I've already read since receiving it is Mika in Real Life by Emiko Jean. This one I also loved. It is about this main character, Mika, who she got pregnant and gave birth very young, and she ended up giving the baby up for adoption, and now it is 16 years later. The child is obviously 16 and she has gotten contact with her. That is Batman. Yeah, she's gotten in contact with Mika to get to know her, but Mika is now feeling the pressure because she doesn't feel like her life is where it should be at this point in her life. She is single, she is jobless, and she's living with people. I think she's, it says Flashay, yeah. And yeah, she doesn't want her daughter knowing her life is a mess. Next up, I have one that I read years ago that I'm really excited to reread because I've never owned a physical copy, but it's one of my favorite books. I hope it's still going to be one of my favorite books. This one is A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I read this, I think in 2021. And it has since been like republished in this edition, and I would love to reread it and annotate it because I think I've just read a digital ebook copy. But this one is like a Dracula retelling, and from memory the writing was beautiful. It's written in second person from one of Dracula's brides, and I'm very excited to reread it and see what I think the second time around. And lastly, a few books that I haven't read. The first one is also a book club plan. This one is My Sister the Serial Killer, which I've had on my like general want to read list for years. I think I remember putting it on my very first like wish list online when I first got back into reading, and finally own my own copy. So I'm very excited to get to this one. I think I'm going to, he's talking in the background. Now he's using the drill. I think I'm gonna have this one as a book club pick in October if you are wanting to read along with us. And as I haven't read it yet, I don't exactly know what it's about besides based on the title and the synopsis. It is about a woman whose sister keeps killing the men she's dating. And I think now she's dating someone that the main character has been in love with. So it should be interesting. The last 3 books that I have are all part of a series. I read Before the Coffee Gets Cold last year, and so my mum got me the next 3 books, which is Tales from the Cafe, Before Your Memory Fades, and Before We Say Goodbye. And the first book is basically about this coffee shop, or cafe because it says Tales from the Cafe, that has like a time travel aspect. So if you sit in a certain seat and order a coffee, you can time travel and you just have to be back before the coffee gets cold, which is a really interesting premise. So I'm excited to read the rest of these and see what I think. But these are the only 3 that are unread and are not a book club plan. Yeah, and the only other 2 that I haven't read are these, and I've read every other book in this book haul, which is great. But yes, there we go. There's all the books that I have, wait, I'm not holding that book, am I? No. These are all the books that I have brought into my collection since the beginning of the year / Christmas. I'm actually so proud that I've read all of these so far this year, besides like a couple that I'm planning to read for the book club, which is super cool. So thank you so much for watching. Check the links below or like the description or whatever in case I've forgotten to say anything about the book club or the read along or whatever it was that I was talking about before. He's gonna keep interrupting. I'm sorry it's chaos as always, but thank you for being here. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time.